Life has many stories. Here's one that might just change how you see yours. We always love the fairy tale stories. You know, when two exes reunite after years apart, and everyone calls it true love. It makes for a great ending. It's the kind of thing that gets reposted and retweeted. But let's be honest, nobody ever talks about the apology part. Ever noticed how it's only the person who got better, financially, emotionally, socially, that gets apologized to? Think about it. Nobody ever says sorry to the one who stayed stuck. Let me break it down. If someone hurt you, left you, betrayed you, and you didn't blow up or become great afterward, they're not coming back with an apology. Why? Because in their minds, you haven't earned it. Not because you didn't deserve it, but because apology for most people isn't about the other person. It's about the story they get to tell themselves. That they were mature enough to recognize where they went wrong, but only when it's convenient, and usually only when you become someone they can now admire. If you're still down, still hurting, still healing, they look away. But why do we want them to say sorry? We often say people should apologize because they're wrong. But in reality, our need for sorry is deeper than that. It's not just about they admitting guilt. It's about collapsing their ego long enough to see from our perspective. To say sorry genuinely, someone must believe they were wrong, see the other person's pain, value what was shared, and then be courageous enough to lower themselves. And that's the tension. Saying sorry isn't just an act, it's surrender. It requires humility. So when you hear an apology, you assume all this has happened. That's why we wait for it, because we think it validates our pain. But truth is, most people won't go through that process, especially when they believe they did what they had to do. Still, we convince ourselves that a good apology should make us feel better, make things fair. And to be honest, it does. That moment when someone says, "I'm sorry," it gives you something, dignity, closure, even power. But crucially, when someone says sorry, we feel superior. In our minds, the balance is restored. You did me wrong, and now you've admitted it. That moment makes us feel seen, heard, and even a little taller. Because now they're the small one, and we're the one who stayed grounded. That's why some cultures demand that the guilty one kneels when apologizing, because it's symbolic. You've lowered yourself. But what happens when they don't say sorry? Let's be honest. When they don't say sorry, when they walk away like nothing happened, that's when it really hurts. It feels like you're the one who's still carrying it, like they got away with it. And that eats at you, not because you can't move on, but because you want to, and somehow their silence makes it harder. That's the tricky thing about apologies. We've been taught that apologies mend broken connections. We think they're for restoration, but more often, they're for validation. We want them to confirm our hurt was real, that we weren't crazy, that we did, in fact, give something that mattered. But you see the trap? If you make your healing depend on that apology, you're stuck. You're not just waiting for words. You're waiting for them to hand you permission to let go. It's like handing them power they don't even deserve anymore. You're not just wounded once, but twice. Once by what they did, and now by your refusal to move on without their permission. And honestly, they might never do that. Not because they hate you, but because some people are simply too proud to look back. Others, they just don't think they owe you anything. Painful, I know, but true. Having said that, if apology is for you, what then are you waiting for? Take a moment and think about this. How much time have you wasted being bitter over someone who isn't even thinking about you? They wronged you, yes, but they're not on pause like you are. While you're stuck, playing back memories, wishing they'd see your worth, they're out there living, advancing. And what's even wilder is that sometimes the everything you did for them, the love, the sacrifice, the time, wasn't even that deep for them. They didn't see it as everything. They just saw it as normal. So why are you breaking your back to carry their indifference? Now here's where you really have to be honest with yourself. What are you hoping to get from that apology? Clarity? Respect? Closure? If it's any of those, I get it. We all want that moment where someone turns around and says, "You were right." But what if you never get it? Would you let your whole life hang on that? Your peace? Your joy? Even if it's love, don't worry. You'll find better love. This is not just a feel-good line. It's truth. What you experienced before wasn't the best love ever. It was the best so far. Life gets better. If you keep moving, if you heal, you'll attract better, stronger, kinder, more real. Because the irony is the people we wait on rarely understand the weight we carry. What you called sacrifice, they called normal. What you called love, they called convenient. That's the real sting, not just the absence of apology, but the realization that they didn't even value what you gave. So what now? Understand that bitterness is a fog. It blurs the beauty of what's coming. You can't see clearly with resentment in your heart. Let that go. Not for them, but for you. You deserve to enjoy the lightness that comes with release. Besides, don't forget, someone out there thinks you're their villain too. You've hurt people, knowingly or unknowingly. So maybe this healing you seek isn't just for you. It's a cycle you're also responsible for breaking. So what if they don't say sorry? Move on, because you can't wait for them to. Not because they suddenly see your worth, but because you finally do. There's something powerful about healing without permission. It's a quiet strength. It's growth that doesn't need an audience. And you'll find, in time, that you don't even want their apology anymore, because you've healed beyond it. And while we're at it, what if they say sorry, but they still behave the same? Don't let apologies fool you. Sorry isn't everything. Change is. We glorify apologies. But in truth, sorry without change is just a tactic. It's not remorse, it's performance. We tend to overlook how intentional people are about the things they do and the decisions they take. Sometimes people do come back and say sorry, but not because they've changed, not because they've thought deeply about what they did, but because they feel guilty or lonely or nostalgic. Sorry doesn't always mean remorse. Sometimes it just means they miss access. Don't confuse words with transformation. That's why growth is the real apology. Change is the real proof. If someone's truly sorry, you won't need their words. You'll see in their ways. You see, people who truly turn their lives around don't need to say sorry. Their growth is the apology. You feel it. You see it. It's not something they tell you. It's who they've become. Ironically, those who evolve receive apologies more than they give them. Because when you level up, people start to realize what they lost. So stop waiting. Stop hanging your healing on someone else's mouth. The I'm sorry you want may never come, and that's okay. The healing you deserve was never theirs to give in the first place. It's always been yours to claim. You've made it this far because you want peace. So take it, choose it, and remember, closure is overrated. Closure doesn't even come from their apology. It comes from your decision to stop needing it. Let the universe do what it always does. You focus on becoming the version of yourself that no apology can undo.